magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy. That's me, Matthew Syed. Some fantastic topics this week. The John Terry controversy, embarrassing moments on and off the pitch, and how important are mums in sport. As always, a big thank you to everyone who's got in touch through the week using the hashtag FredSavSide. But before we get into the meat of this podcast, let's do the thing we always do, which is find out what we've all been up to over the past week. Robbie, you're pointing at me here.
I'm glad you said that. Get into the meat of it. Because all week I've been defending my friend on social media, Fred.
Defending me? Hang on a minute. I'm not the one.
Attacked?
Well, no, I'm just... I seen a tweet on social media off a quite a famous magazine. Saying,
Which one? You can name it, Rob. It's fine. We're all friends.
I think it was OK magazine. It was
not that big.
Oh, I think I saw this.
Yeah, and the headline was, Frankie Bridge fans are distracted by Freddie Flintoff's huge bulge after the Saturday Stinger pauses with tall cricket player to make him feel there. What's all that about?
It's just big news, Rob.
What?
I can't help it. It's big news in every sense.
I was people asking me what Freddie's bulge like, and I have no idea.
Well, you obviously know more than you're letting on. Come on, then spit it out. What is it? What is it? Come on, tell us.
What's what?
What is this story?
So this was...
Well, you were in Malta. You were in Malta.
Yeah, I was filming Cannonball.
Filming a Cannonball show with the very lovely Frankie Bridge.
She's absolutely lovely, yeah.
And you had a photograph with her, and you're 6'6" or whatever you are, and she's
4.
How big is she?
Probably about 5'3".
5'3". But obviously the picture was taken, and it looks like in the photo, which I've got here.
Have a look at it, please.
I'll put it to my camera. So there's a camera in the room.
Oh, I know where you're getting with this now.
Yeah. And you've got a pair of flimsy tracksuit bottoms on.
Yeah.
And it looks like it was a very hot day.
Isn't this what they used to call in the old days the packed lunch? When the sprinters used to wear the tight lycra shorts.
Did you have anything down there?
Right. In my defence,
Chipolata?
I've seen the picture, and Chipolata. Read the headline, Matthew. Distracted by the. Hang on a minute.
Bulge.
No, it's not just bulge. Huge bulge. Huge bulge, Matthew saying. I'll be honest with you, I couldn't have written it better myself. But what happened was, right, I had a picture of her, and I can see that picture, and I've been asleep in the car.
In the car?
Yeah, I've been asleep. It was a drive, half-hour, 40-minute drive. You know what happens when you go asleep? It grows a bit. so
I've never heard this.
It does, doesn't it? But that Oasis song, what's the story? Morning Glory.
Oh, right.
So I've had a picture with her, and it was very windy. It was very windy, and
your hair looks all right.
it's a bit high. Yeah. So it was very windy, and I had flimsy tracksuit pants on. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure that's what they're insinuating. I think I had something in my pocket.
A phone.
Not a phone.
Nokia 6210.
An off stump or something.
Fred, just move on.
Let's move on.
Moving on a little bit.
Anyway.
What have you been up to other than defending allegations about
What have I
big
done this
bulge?
week? I've done more acting this week.
Wow, really?
I was acting again, yeah. I was doing my drama. I can't say too much about it.
Yeah.
I just had to shoot one scene this week. I've got a few more to do next week or week after. I was filming, yeah.
But this is kind of a growing part of your career, isn't it?
There's a lot growing at the minute. Well, yeah, I'm
Are you becoming
it.
more comfortable with directors around you and the lights and having to come up with...
I think so. I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing, but they seem to like it. I've done that Sky short, and I've done this BBC One stuff, and I'm enjoying it. But there's something else over the weekend. Now Robbie's on the subject of social media, right? I was just checking Instagram and all that, and then I was horrified to see my mate stood in front of his bathroom mirror taking a selfie of himself with no shirt on, and the headline was, "Get in there." You even got dug out by Phil Neville. That's how bad it was. Phil Neville put, "Get in where."
I should Matthew, I've got to say.
You stripped down and did a shot of yourself with bulging muscles.
I wouldn't say bulging muscles, Matthew. You've added that.
Yeah, it was...
I tell you what, there's some filters been used on that as well, I tell you.
I've got to say, Matthew...
What are you going to say? Say it if you're going to say it.
I must admit, I've got to say, I did look half decent.
Oh, my word.
Even if you say so yourself.
Yeah, I thought I looked half decent.
This could be quite a good segue into the first topic, which is yours, Freddie, and it's about narcissism.
What's that mean?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, am I
It's
supposed
when
to
you're
know?
having yourself a little bit too much.
Yeah, and it's based on...
You're a narcissist.
I am.
You're a
I'm
narcissist.
No, I'm not.
Hang on a minute. Photos in mirror in your bathroom. Whose was that robe behind you? Leopard print robe.
That was
Is that yours?
It was my wife's. It was at Swansea.
So Narcissus fell in love with his own reflection.
So did Robbie.
And Robbie, you've done exactly the same. The question is, and this is your topic, Fred, John Terry,
Oh.
who negotiated with the manager of Chelsea to be substituted during a football match. He had a guard of honour. A lot of people are saying this threatened the integrity of football, a completely ridiculous stunt for somebody who is more interested in self-glorification than the team. What is your take on this, Fred?
Well, it's my subject, Matthew. I'll tell you in a minute. But the one thing about this, I'm really looking forward to this. And don't say this show's not topical, because we've picked something that happened over the weekend. And the reason I love this subject so much is because you two have got a little bit of history with John Terry. Oh, yes. Robbie Savage. You've hammered him in the past 606. You was having a go. He said in a press conference, Robbie Savage has had no career. Yeah. Matthew Syed in his Times column. Oh, my word. You stuck the both boots in. And then on this podcast, you said, I got it wrong, maybe. But then you went again the other week. So never mind my opinion. Robbie Savage, 606, you was talking about it. What's your opinion on John Terry, his final game, guard of honour during match, comes off after 26 minutes because it's his shirt number.
Yep.
Good job he wasn't a keeper, come off for the first minute. Number one. So what's your take on it, Rob?
Well, first and foremost, I think, we have got history. Do I like John Terry as a bloke? Don't know him. So I'm the type of person...
Did you think you would like him if you did know him?
I don't know him, Matthew, so...
Be a fight-foot mirror.
I don't know the guy. I played against him. But personally,
You got some marbles in your mouth. Come on, speak, man, speak.
I don't know the guy on an individual social basis, so I can't comment, because people who don't know me think I'm an idiot, think I'm a clown, think I'm a fool, but they don't until they make me think, he's all right. So I can't comment on John Terry.
Really?
So I don't. Yeah, some people do.
It's a bold claim, that one.
What I thought of that was, it was completely and utterly embarrassing for me personally.
Agree.
Because I've looked at great players in the past. I've looked at Steven Gerrard, one club man Liverpool, Ryan Giggs, United, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, Alan Shearer, Roy Keane. I know he wasn't a one club man, but a great captain.
Yeah.
Would these players, well, they didn't do it, have kicked the ball out or got the opposition to kick the ball out in the minute of their shirt and then walk off to a guard?
I've not seen who booted it out.
So Jordan Pickford, the
Who's he played for?
Sunderland, in the 26th minute kicked the ball out. Then John Terry spent an age getting off the pitch. The guard of honour, I think it took 2 or 3 minutes. But John Terry's not played all season. Surely you wouldn't have finished the game. Come off in the 85th minute, like Philip Lahm or Alonso did for Bayern Munich when they retired from football altogether the day before, Bayern Munich. Great players. Alonso, 815 appearances, 18 trophies.
Yeah.
Just come off, 80th minute.
It's
Andrew, I just think that it was completely and utterly ridiculous. And let's be fair, John Terry's been a great leader, a great captain, and a legend. And that's what the Chelsea banner says. And for Chelsea fans, it was a fitting way to send off their hero. Yeah. And on the pitch, he deserved a hero's finish, but not in the 26th minute with this.
This is the thing that strikes me the hardest. It's a game of football. Two teams trying their hardest to defeat one another. It's a confrontation. This turned it into a form of choreography, theatre. They had to pause the game, as you say, for a few minutes. What annoys me almost as much as John Terry having the egocentricity to persuade his manager to go through with that stunt is that they then approach David Moyes, the Sunderland manager, who agrees too. Then Diego Costa approaches the Sunderland goalkeeper and instructs him to kick the ball out of play. This is a football match. Yeah. Imagine if that particular kick had gone to a midfielder, reflected up to the forward, it had gone into the back of the net. This is an absolute affront to the very integrity of the game.
So you didn't like it? You didn't like it then, Matthew?
Not to put too fine a point on it. I agree with you. I think he's a good footballer.
You won't be buying Times on this weekend, will you, John Terry?
Exactly. Wait for tomorrow when I
he's at it again, lad. He's done it again. Oh, my word.
Freddie, you're not serious. You are not... Please tell me this. You are not seriously defending what Terry did yesterday.
I couldn't care less. I'm not defending it. Do you know what? Really, I can't get my head round, right? John Terry goes in, it's his last game. He walks into Stamford Bridge and he goes in dressing. He says, I tell you what, lads, I've got a great idea. It's like, what is it, John? What is it? Well, I'm thinking, right, I go on 26 minutes. what we'll do is we'll kick the ball out, and then I can walk off, and everyone can line up. However with David Moyes, however with Moisey, however with Sandon, they'll buy it. They'll be all over it. They'll be all over it. And I'll walk off. Everyone will stand on their feet, and everyone will clap at me. It'll be brilliant, won't it, lads? Why did one of his teammates not say, John?
Exactly.
This is stupid, it's bonkers. But if I'd have been in that dressing room as one of the players, I'd be going, oh, that's a brilliant idea. That is brilliant, John. Oh, John, I'm having it. So Costa's gone up. But I tell you what, I see it, thinking on it, because I didn't see it live. I've been looking on social media. I saw you on 606, and you got hammered. And then I saw a BBC clip on that show where it's like Gogglebox for football. You can't see the football, but you watch people talking about football. All the channels do it. I can't get my head around it. But there we go, right? And it's happened. It's
BT
happened.
Sport Score, that's our show. Great show. It's a great show, Fred.
But I don't get Gogglebox. If I want to watch telly, I want to watch telly. I don't want to watch people talking about telly.
Totally agree.
It's really strange, but I'm pleased it works. But the other thing is, right, which was most disturbing for me, the most disturbing bit about it was they go in, right? You've got your mate Jason Mohammed. He's hosting it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You've got what's he called? Kevin Kilban. You had Martin Keown. And my mate,
Final score.
Garth Crooks. Garth Crooks. I thought, he sat there, Garth, and he's saying, "This, I feel really uncomfortable about this." I was uncomfortable watching you, Garth. You had a pink shirt and a maroon tank top on. Don't tell me about feeling uncomfortable. And I want to get it out there now. And I've mentioned it in previous podcasts. But the BBC just need to have a Douglas Hurd in his ear, right? They need to say to Garth, before you go on telly, just pop in the wardrobe department. I know it's the taxpayers' money, but let's have a whip round. Let's buy him some new gear. You can't go on telly like that. I really like Garth Crooks. Maroon tank top with buttons on, a pink shirt. Garth, I don't care what you're saying. You could be talking about anything. You could be offering the biggest pearls of wisdom that the world has ever known. I can't get past your clothes. Never mind John Terry.
Back to John Terry. Back to John Terry.
Martin Keown sat next to him, looked like Yves Saint Laurent. Martin Keown's never felt as good in his life. He's probably sat there thinking, oh, Garth, you look great, mate. You keep dressing like that. There's Keown. Oh, here we go. Kevin Kilban, he can't get his head round it. Have a word with Jason Mohammed as well. He's too old to fasten his top button. Right, John Terry, 26 minutes.
Okay. So, I related to John Terry's career, and people on 606 said, I'm jealous, I'm bitter, I've got a history with John Terry. And, John Terry in his press conference had a go at me. That was John Terry's opinion. That was fine, right? That was fine. Yep. Not a problem with that. My opinion on John Terry as a football player, legend, no doubt about that for Chelsea. One of the best defenders that England's ever seen. Mm-hmm. Rio Ferdinand for me was a far better defender, better player. So,
what should he have done?
How would you have felt in the dressing room? Let's say one of your teammate comes in. We've got a game of football. I want the opposition to boot it out. We need to arrange that with the opposition manager in advance. And then you're going to give me a guard of honour. You've said that you were open and honest with your teammates. What would you have said in the dressing room at that point?
Yeah, I would. It depends. I'm with Freddie. I'd have said, yeah, it's a great idea, that. It's a great idea. I'd have nudged my teammate next to me and said, what an absolute clown.
How do you approach it with the opposition? Imagine, knock on David Moyes' door. All right, Moyes, you get your head round this stand. It's like, how do you do it? I can't imagine David Moyes. You think, is this bloke for real?
Yeah. Do
you know what? I've been brilliant for this club. I deserve this, David. How do you do it?
Okay, what about the referee? Why was the referee not saying? He was standing there with the ball under his arm having a clap.
But let's go to the...
What about the speech at the end? I thought I was watching Rocky IV.
I don't mind the speech at the end.
It's all right.
I'm okay with the speech at the end when everybody ties. I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Look at Roy Keane.
Given that he knew that was going to happen, why did he need this additional thing?
No idea. But look at Roy Keane and look at Paul Scholes. Missed the Champions League final. Did they get their kit on and go and get the trophy? No, they were happy to sit in the bus.
Just laughing at it.
Scott Scholes said that he didn't want to have the winner's medal because he hadn't played in the final, even though he had made such a significant contribution throughout the Champions League in 98-99.
And you think about the Champions League. Yep. You think that when Chelsea got to the final and won it against Bayern Munich, John Terry
didn't play.
Missed it because kicked out on the edge of the box against Barca. Was it Barca in the semi-final?
Barcelona, yeah.
Got suspended.
Correct.
Then in Moscow, took the 5th penalty, slipped, missed.
Yeah.
You know, didn't win. And Chelsea, not John Terry's fault, but he could have won the game for him. Missed. Picking the trophies up and.
But the thing is, when he picked the trophy up for the Champions League final, he didn't just put his kit on; he had his shin pads on.
Yeah, you got to be too careful at them steps. You know, if you time it right, you could bang your shin.
Look, we're giving him a pasting. Do either of you feel any sense that somebody who has given their lifeblood to a particular club for so long and had won for Chelsea 5 Premier Leagues, 5 FA Cups, a Champions League, 3 League Cups, he made 713 appearances, 578 as captain.
Brilliant.
Do you feel any empathy with the emotion that he was feeling and the desire to cap that duration at a club with an emotional moment like that?
Do you know, I can't get my head around it. I think in 6 months' time, a year's time, John Terry will look back and have a big grin on his face, think, what was that? Because he deserves something, doesn't he? You mentioned all them stats, 700 games, and, you know, Matthew writes about the other stuff off field, fine. But on field for Chelsea, you can appreciate that the supporters will want to give him a farewell.
Yeah, a fair point.
I can't get my head round not playing the whole game. Yeah. I really can't. You got one last chance to have 90 minutes on the ground that you've been at, the club you've been at since you were 14. Why go off after 26 minutes?
How did you go out? How did you go out? How did you go out? Would you have? How did you go out?
I announced my retirement. Second test after the second test. Oh, actually no, before the second test at Lords. My knee was hanging off, and I thought I just want to get it out.
What year are we talking?
2009. And in the last test match, I went out to bat.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I'm genuine. I'm thinking, because I've done it before. I'm thinking, I don't want a guard of honour here off the Aussies. I'm not in that field. I've done all right.
Yeah.
But that's for the greatest of the players, and I was all right. And luckily, I didn't. But then I was a bit, cheers, lads.
Yeah.
I got out there. Ricky Ponting shook me and said, "Good luck, mate." And I went and had a bat. And I walked off, got out, a 20-odd, swung off my feet, and then sat in the dressing room.
That was it.
Yeah, and then we had to field after that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't move. My knee was gone. Yeah. And I was still fielding at mid-off, and Steve Armisen was bowling as we was bowling out the Australians, and Army was in full flow. I was loving it. And Army said to me, Steve, he said, "Do you want to bowl?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, it's your last game. Like, we're going to bowl them out." And I said, "No, we're playing a game of cricket here. This is the Ashes. One, I can't move. My knee's gone. And two, I'll be honest with you, Steve, all we've been through, our careers have gone side by side all the way through. Firstly, I want England to win.
Yep.
If I'm not taking wickets, I'll be really honest with you, Steve, it means just as much seeing you running in and getting them as it ever would for me. So let's just crack on." I did an interview with Iron Mike Atherton after the game, which...
He didn't pull his shorts down that day.
No, well, my dad got a bit upset because I couldn't move in the field. Like the last 20 minutes of the game, he was taking the mickey out of me a little bit, and then he'd give a bad interview afterwards, and I think that's why I hold a bit of a grudge against him, but that's gone now. Never mind, Mike, we'll be working together soon. So, yeah, I just went home, I had a few pints after the game.
And that was it?
But at midnight, I was nil by mouth. I was on the surgeon's knife at 10 o'clock next morning.
Is it one of the greatest? You were also the number 26 for Lancashire, like John Terry was 26 for Chelsea. Is that right?
What happened was when I was always number 11. I was number 11 all the way through my career. And then when I came back and played a few games, I said I want my number 11. And they said, "Well, it's gone." So I said, "Oh, right." So I said, "Give me a number. I'll have number 26 because I love John Terry." No, it was just, that was the next number available. So give me number 26. I didn't try and get like 11 runs in my last game, or I'll go off the pitch at 11 minutes past 11 for my dinner or something.
But it's interesting, the way you were thinking about your retirement, you were still thinking about the team. It wasn't all about you. And I wonder, with Terry, I do worry that it's a lot of the glory has to be focused on him. Even though Chelsea had just won the league, fantastic performance yesterday for Terry was all about him. Was there anyone in the England cricket team you felt who were focused too much on themselves at the expense of the team dynamic?
Do you know the only thing which I don't know if I'd have done differently, but because I announced my retirement from Test cricket before the second Test, and I wasn't fit for the next 3 that I played or 2 that I played, but I could get through 1 new injections and that. It did feel a bit embarrassing that I was going on like this farewell tour around the country. Everyone's coming up to you, and it was like, just stop it, please. But I didn't like that feeling. But when I was on the pitch for the last hour of my career, the one thing this is where I can't get my head around John Terry coming off at 26 minutes, because we're bowling him out, and you're on the field, And there's a full house. My family are there. I'm surrounded by my mates and some colleagues. And I'm thinking all the time, I just don't want this day to end.
Yeah.
I don't want this to end. And it was bittersweet. As we were taking wickets, it was like, oh no, it's going to finish. And then I'm finished. I'm done here. Because even though I thought I was going to play one day cricket, I knew I wasn't. My knee was knackered. So I was thinking, I just don't want this day to end. And I started getting a little bit emotional, as emotional as I do on a cricket field. And it was really strange. And then trudged off.
Yeah, I was the same.
Like, trudged off. It was like, I don't want to get off. I want to stay on it.
I was the same. My last
What did
game,
you do?
Was at Reading. Was at Reading for Derby. In
Mate,
the
you couldn't get off
Championship.
quick enough from Reading.
I was nearly 37. And, when the game kicks off, you're thinking, last 90 minutes of my life, of my career. I know John Terry might play again, so it's not as... he hasn't finished.
How long
for
have you
good.
been at Reading?
No, it was at Derby, Matthew.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You followed my career well then, yeah?
What's your name again?
Are you the clever one in this?
Well, anyway, Matthew, thanks for taking a real interest in my career.
So what happened?
So, Derby at Reading, everybody was retiring because I announced it in January. And then half-time, I'm thinking, well, I've got another 45 minutes left. And I was you. I don't want this day to end. And then 90th minute, the final whistle went. I went over to the Derby fans. And the funny thing was, half of the Derby fans were dressed in number 8 shirts with blonde wigs, and it was brilliant. It was amazing.
yeah.
It was amazing. And I took my shirt off, took my shorts off, slipped in the crowd, and walked off.
Did you throw them back?
Walked off. Walked off in my underpants. So I had my shin
Yeah, I've
pads.
seen that photo. Yeah.
And it was a very cold day, and I don't think the headlines would have been divulged at all. But that was it. And I got on the team bus, went home, and that was it. But I just can't imagine any of my teammates coming in the dressing room and saying, my shirt number coming off. I just think it was absolute ridiculous. But for the Chelsea fans, would have loved it.
Yeah. What about you, Matthew? What happened when your last game? Did they make a guard of honour, all raising the ping pong paddles, and they were throwing ping pong balls in the air?
Like confetti.
Yeah. 3 cheers to Matthew. Hip, hip, hooray, hip, hooray.
Oh gosh, my last competitive table tennis match was at the European Championships.
Did all
Are you
four of the
interested
crowd?
in
Did
this?
all 4 of the crowd clap you?
It was for England in Zagreb. I lost to a young Austrian, Robbie Gardosh. The only thing that
Robbie
could
was
go
good,
for Robbie,
wasn't
you remember him?
Yeah,
Good
Gardosh.
backhand.
Gardo.
Oh, man,
Yeah, Gardy, they sometimes called him. The other thing that went through my mind, it was the same as you. I just felt terribly sad that this incredible journey, because I love playing tennis, there's nothing like it, believe it or not.
No,
that it was coming to an end. I remember walking off and thinking, I will never have that experience again, competing against a top-level opponent in front of an audience, having built up. It was a long build-up to the European Championships that year, and I felt terribly sad. I felt proud of what I'd achieved in the career, but I think I had those emotions that you described as well, Robbie.
Was the crowd? I use this in the loosest term. Was the crowd and your opponent and everyone knocking around aware that this was your last game?
I don't think Robbie was aware, and I don't think the crowd was aware, but my teammates were aware.
Did they do something?
Yeah, that night we had dinner, then we went out for some drinks, and they all said very kind things. That's the other thing I miss a lot, is that team dynamic.
Yeah.
The depth of the friendships you have when you're playing international sport. I don't think you ever quite get that back.
Did you have a buffet like cheese and pineapple sticks and sausage rolls? And, what was it,
Pickle
pork
egg
pie,
jog.
pickled eggs?
You bowl of
Pickles.
eggs.
No,
What do you mean?
it was posh, innit?
What do you-
No.
You had a Pims. You had a Pims.
What? Pims.
Cheese and
I
pineapple
don't know.
sticks is posh. That's your
You got
idea of
mixed
the
up here. I was-
archetypal
Yeah.
posh buffet.
In a
Rob,
working
we
men's
was
club,
we
game
was
of
on
table tennis.
different wavelengths there. I was going low rent. You was going posh.
All right.
Exactly.
All right.
Posh, a pickle egg.
I don't know.
Oh man.
I don't know.
Rob, seriously.
John Terry, to conclude this,
Yeah. What about one sentence to capture the John Terry phenomenon? What would you say about him and his career and
His
what
football
he represents?
career?
No, everything. As a cultural phenomenon,
An enigma.
What is brilliant?
Thank you.
I think that's.
what's that mean?
Do you know what? I
What's
think
the
that's
enigma?
about as good
Why
as
is
it
it?
gets. It's mysterious. We never quite have understood or deconstructed what Terry is all about, because we've seen the passion, we've seen the egotism, we've seen the terrible off-field behaviour. We've also seen admirable leadership qualities on the field of play.
Yeah.
This guy who goes into every tackle 100%. All of the people who speak about Terry, who have played with him, and his managers say that he transmitted tremendous desire and resilience to the rest of the team. I'm with you, Freddie. I think he's a deeply enigmatic character.
But just on one last thing, there's not a sentence or a word. On John Terry, if he wanted to go out like that, good luck to him.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. The Chelsea fans are happy.
Yeah, they are.
Fair play to them. And then as a player, I don't think I played with people whose motives for success were all very different. Some for personal gain, some for finance, some for playing for England, or some just to feed an ego.
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, when I was out on the field, I couldn't care less what people's motives were. I just wanted them to perform to the best of their ability, whatever that may be.
Yep.
And I think John Terry, whatever his motives are, we'll probably never know.
Yeah.
I don't matter. I think as a footballer, as I said before, take everything else out the window. You look at him and you think, yeah.
One of the best centre halves England have produced.
Well, it could have been me, but I just didn't have 10,000 hours.
But you know, just one final point. That thing about not building bridges into other people's souls, trying to understand what their motives are. I remember when some players who weren't born in England came into the England cricket team, and people said they'll never be able to perform well because they don't have the heart for their nation. I always found that a very strange argument because people can play for all sorts of different and complex motives, and they can play fantastically with those different motives. I think that's a really interesting psychological point.
So when all the political parties are trying to shout the loudest, and they are, and all at the same time, because that's what they're doing, how do you make sense of anything that's being said? Well, you can click on Election Cast from BBC 5 Live and BBC Politics. I'm John Pienaar, and along with my mates at the BBC Politics team, I will be your guide to manifestos and issues, incidents and accidents. Plenty of all of those just now, all crystallised succinctly in a neat, clear podcast. Election Cast. Download and subscribe now using your usual podcast app.
Topic number 2. Embarrassing moments on and off the field of play. Now, I know this is going to be quite a wide-ranging debate. Robbie, you pick this one.
Well, it's just, because we are characters, all three of us. I found you even a character, Matthew. Even though you thought I'd play for Reading. Do
we need to get involved in this subject, Rob, or are you just going to do 20 minutes?
Yeah.
No, I just think
embarrassing.
we're all characters, and I think you've got some great stories. So, this might be some funny ones, embarrassing ones. So I want you to go first in this one. So
I bet you do. Yeah.
So give me an embarrassing story on or off the field.
I tell you what we'll do with this one, because I don't know where to pitch this. Right. So if we start and then let's play embarrassing stories, top trumps.
Right.
All right. So whatever the first story is, you've got to trump it.
Okay.
Right. So Matthew should go first. We'll trump his.
No, I once used the black side for my forehand. Oh, I'd never live it down. Bloody hell.
I think
you can't use the bed for your backhand.
Right, Matthew, go.
I once wrote an article in the Times about about the Olympic Village, which is where the athletes stay for the duration of the games. And it's an explosive atmosphere there. Imagine thousands of young people wearing lycra, having demonstrated self-discipline for weeks and months, and then they're out of the competition and suddenly it goes wild. And the first sentence of this article was, the Olympic Village is an extraordinary place. I got laid more often over the course of the 2.5 weeks than I had in the whole of the rest of my life up to that point.
Twice.
Which is to say twice. Hey! So this story went viral. It's still the most read story.
You didn't even use your pack of 3 condoms.
Freddie!
Well, we can do that. Safe sex and all, we're in for it.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, they get... Do you know what?
We're promoting safe sex. What?
So this story went viral. It's still the most read story in the history of Times Online, and it was out in 2008. In 2009, I met my now wife, Kathy. We started dating. And then on about the 5th or 6th date, her mother came down from Derby where they live, and we met at a cafe, and I was very nervous meeting the mother of my wife and her best friend, Angela. So I sit down, I say, ever so nice to meet you. I'm really keen on your daughter. We're getting on fantastically. She started asking questions. A minute in, she said, funnily enough, I mentioned to a friend that Kathy was dating a sports journalist called Matthew Syed. About 10 minutes later, this article arrived about you having lots of sex at the Olympic Games. Do you want to tell me a bit about that? I went cherried up, totally red, totally embarrassing. And I thought
you lost your cherry.
That's really...
So that's probably the most embarrassing story.
Do you mean to go? Oh, you go.
Can you beat this? Either of you?
I might be able to beat that with one. So Blackburn Rovers, one of my first weeks there. You know, you're trying to integrate into the dressing room with all your new teammates. You know, you're a new boy, you're the manager's favourite, you're one of his first signings. Everybody knows he's your hero, so you're trying to make a good impression. So I'm trying to be one of the lads, and it's very difficult when you walk into a new dressing room because there's cliques. You know, you're the new guy. People think you're going to take their place. So I was one of the lads trying to get involved because I've got half decent banter. So I remember.
Hey?
Why have you never brought it? 15 weeks in.
I know,
15 weeks in, we've not seen it.
Next week. Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
So one day, so this particular day, going to training, right?
Yep.
And I had white underpants on, right?
Oh,
Right.
I know where this is going.
This is horrendous. It's horrendous.
Oh,
it's
no.
horrendous. So anyway, we get changed, go out for training. Anyway, and what happens is the injured ones, who are the ones who are in the treatment room, have got, when you're out training, they'll go and do pranks, whatever. They'll cut your trousers up, but somebody must have seen my underpants hanging up, and then I mustn't have wiped properly.
Oh, Rob.
Right. So what happened was we all get back in for training. Yeah, we get back in for training. So I go to have a shower, get me, dry myself off, sit down, and I go to put my underpants. They've gone. They've gone. So I'm looking around thinking, where? No, they've hid them. They've hid them somewhere. It's stupid, you know. So I put my jeans on, put my clothes back on, and then I'm one of the last ones out of the shower. So I'm now going into the canteen. I've walked into the canteen, right, and the secretaries are there, the chairman, the manager, all the lads, the youth team, and they're hanging up.
No!
Oh,
They've stuck them above the serving hats.
health and safety nightmare. Hygiene nightmare.
Canteen.
Nightmare for hygiene.
And I've walked in and I've looked, and there they are.
But how did they know they were yours?
Oh, they're on my peg.
Because Robbie loves a gold watch, doesn't he?
Everybody knew. They've obviously before I've got
Okay.
in, they've obviously they're Robbie's.
Yeah.
And I've walked in and I'm walking over to the counter and I've looked, and there they are hanging, skid mark side up.
What did you do?
Mate, could you imagine? It was so embarrassing. It was horrendous. Oh, what can I say? So you just held my hands up and say, yeah. You know, it was horrendous.
Oh, man.
That's embarrassing.
And did they kind of admire the fact that you put your hands up and said, okay,
listen, guys, you've got me.
Fair point.
You've got
Oh, you wash your hands before you put them up, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, mate. So
It's fake tan. It's fake tan. It's funny. Have you been wiping your face with them undies?
right, do that, Andrew. Do that.
But the bar's gone up. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Mine's on. My first one's on similar lines. As you know, when I was younger, I was a big lad. As a big lad, and in the dressing room was another big lad, Darren Goff. So the two of us were always talking about how we're going to lose weight. We always wanted a quick fix. We didn't want to do it properly. We wanted quick fixes. We wanted to wake up the next day and we're 3 stone lighter. So we try out. And then we got wind of these, they're called Xenicol. Right? They're these tablets which you get prescribed by your doctor for weight loss. And the idea behind these Xenicol, what they do is, they're meant to teach you to eat better. So you take a Xenicol, and then it breaks down the fat in your food. Mm-hmm. So then the fat comes out your bottom, right? Yep. So what it's meant to do is the better you eat, the less comes out. But we thought, oh, no. We can eat whatever we want.
Yeah.
So we've been out the night before for a big meal and a few drinks. And we're playing a one-day international at Lords the next day. We've won the toss, we're batting. So me and Goffey have had a big breakfast, full English, and we've had a Xenicol. Right? So I'm sat there, right? And the problem with these Xenicols is that you're not sure if you're trumping or it's going to come out. There's some horrific stories about them. It just seeps out. So me and Goffey, right, we're there. So I've had it. I'm next into bat. I'm batting 5. We've lost a couple of quick wickets. So Alex Stewart goes in, number 4. He's taking guard. I'm next in. I'm fully kitted up. I got my blue kit on. I got my pads on. I'm all good to go. I'm revving myself up. I don't know if it was nerves or what I'd eaten. I needed a little trump. So I thought, I'll just ease one out here. Oh, no. Oh, no. So I've trumped, and it's all come out, right? So I'm sat there, and I'm thinking, what do I do? I'm at the home of cricket here. I'm sat on the Lord's balcony, and I've soiled myself, right? But if Alex Stewart's out, I've got to go on bat. So I had to make a split decision, split call. I've got to get changed. I've got to have a shower. I've got to wash myself. So all of a sudden, I went into the sink in the corner of the dressing room, filled it with water, whipped all my clothes off. Alex Stewart's taking his first ball. I'm watching, sat in the sink, and he's thinking, don't get out, don't get out, don't get out. So he gets through his first ball. So I've got myself clean. I put all my kit on. All kit's gone on. I kid you not. Just as I've got everything back together, he's out. I've just pulled my trolleys back up. I've got my thigh pads on, and I'm walking out to back at Wards. Got rid of the tablets after that.
How many did you score that day?
I got a few, yeah. I did all right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a little story about preparation as well. You know, playing the beginnings. Preparation.
Matthew, back to you.
I'll tell you what, I've got nothing compared to any of that. I'm dropping out at this point in top fronts. So we're now going to rebound over to you, Robbie.
I don't think I'll beat that one, but off the field, I've got a couple on the field. Just a quickie, couple on the field was getting Justin Edinburgh sent off. That's embarrassing when I look back now. When he clipped my hair, went down too easy. That's embarrassing. That was embarrassing and regretful. The Wales press conference. Do you remember when I threw Maldini's shirt into a bush?
Is this when you're playing for Reading?
That's the first time I'd heard of you then. That's the first time. No disrespect, but then I remember it on
Actually,
Sky
mentioned
Sports
it.
News.
Yeah.
So basically, an interviewer said it'd be a good idea comparing me with Maldini. It was like ridiculous. He was on X amount, I was on hardly anything. I had a Fiesta, he had a Ferrari. It was that comparison. And then at the end of the interview, he said, just a good idea. Just toss his shirt into a bush. So I tossed the shirt away. Anyway, I got through at the Welsh squad, didn't I, for it. Bobby Good said, it's unacceptable. You disrespected one of the best ever left-backs ever. And I said, I didn't do it on purpose, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, then we had a press conference the next day. And I was sitting there, and you can watch this on YouTube. I was sitting there next to Bobby Gould, and it was just the most bizarre, embarrassing moment I've ever been involved in. Looking back now, it looks like I was like 23, 24.
Yeah.
My teeth were horrendous. It looked like I had Botox. My hair, I looked ridiculous when you look back. Look at it looks ridiculous.
What do you think now? Them teeth, that's brilliant, Rob.
But it looks ridiculous. But I'm sitting there.
Tell you what, that is a perfect line of teeth, isn't it?
I'm sitting there, and I'm just getting hammered from all angles, and he's Bobby Gould saying, tell him what happened. And I was just sitting there, like, bemused, thinking, this is not really happening. I was embarrassed.
And you were very young, too.
Very young, and it was like... But basically, what I wasn't trying to say is that, when I got throughout the squad, I would say, I'm not going. And, well, he said to me that you've got 20 minutes to go, or I'm going to get the police. I'm going to get the police to escort you off the ground.
Police?
Yeah, and this is what I didn't want to say in the press conference, because it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to stitch my manager up, really, in the press conference, saying, the reason why, because you said it, you've got 20 minutes to leave, or I'll get the police to escort you off the grounds.
So you're in an invidious position.
Terrible position. So looking back now, watching it, it's the most embarrassing, cringe-worthy moments. Me in that press conference.
I had a press conference like that after I got done trying to get on a pedal in the West Indies. Yeah. I went in the press conference. I was sat next to Duncan Fletcher, and I remember I walked in, and all the supporters of Army have lined it as I've walked in, and they're all shaking their heads and tutting. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, lads. Hang on a minute. You get hammered all day. You do snakes with beer things. And you're judging me. And I sat down next to Duncan Fletcher.
But a lot of them supported you. I remember at the time, a lot of the England fans were on your side.
But I sat down in the press conference. It was packed. It was live on Sky Sports News. And they're all in there, like the vultures have circled. And I nearly started laughing at the first question, but I thought, just hold it together. Because the reporter said... can you confirm there was a peddler involved? It was like, what? Can you confirm there's a peddler involved? And I had the same thing with Duncan Fletcher. They asked Duncan, because he banned me for the next game against Canada. And then someone asked, he said, if it was Australia, would you ban him? And he says, well, it's situations. And he just went on. And I said, would you ban me? I know. Why am I sat here? Yeah. What's going on? It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah. You actually had the balls to ask him that question in front of the media. It's a fair question.
Not in front of the media.
Okay. You asked him after. Yeah.
What about this one?
Go on.
So I did a book signing. So my first book, Matthew, it was another.
It's horrible when no one turns up in it.
No, I don't know. This is embarrassing for me, embarrassing for the person involved. I forget the person's name. So I had a book signing at Derby County. Yeah, it was a good day. A few people turned up. I'm sitting there, and I'm quite a polite guy. So every person that come for the book signed, you'd put your arm round and smile for the camera phone, whatever, or the photograph. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I've done about 300, 400, 500. Anyway, all went smoothly.
Even the gallery are laughing at that one. Even the people behind.
They're all shaking their head going, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, really, yeah. They all brought the crayons.
All went smoothly. and then I got a call off the secretary a week later saying, can you come and see us, please? I said, why? He said, we had a letter.
Yeah, there's no blue crayons in the back with the book.
We've had a letter. So I said, really? I said, yeah. Anyway, go into the secretary's office, give me this letter. So I get it out, put the sound effect, get it out, and started reading it.
Welcome to 1963.
Yeah. So anyway, started reading the letter, and basically it was claimed by a person that in the book signing, when they had a photo with me, because I put my arm around them, clipped them on the ear, I made them go deaf. And they were good.
What?
They were good. They wanted money.
You're like the opposite.
Yeah.
To Jesus, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're like the opposite.
They wanted money.
The non-healing hand.
So
You're kidding.
basically-
So what happened next?
So basically, I'm saying this can't be for real. This is somebody taking the mic. Anyway,
You made them deaf by touching them.
yeah. So I put my arm around for a photo, and this person was claiming that I made them because of the force of my arm going around their head for the photo. That I made them deaf. They'd been to the doctor, and they said, "Yeah, you're deaf in one ear."
Did you only touch one?
I put my arm round. So basically, they were claiming that I made them deaf in my book signing. So anyway, to lawyers, and basically it went on for about 6 or 7 months, and eventually it was dropped.
But you know what that
Is that-
shows?
is
I mean,
that-
look,
There's days I wish you'd touch me on the ear.
I tell you, the serious point there is when you're high profile, you are the target of what has become a very litigious society. So,
What society?
people who want to sue you.
Yeah.
And get money off you. They knew you were rich. They knew you were high
Well, I wouldn't
profile.
say
They
that,
probably
but-
thought they didn't want you to you didn't want to have the publicity associated with
You
this.
just pay them off.
What did the legal cost?
Oh, my
Approved.
pal done it for a couple of $100 it was.
Okay.
My pal, who a friend of mine, just sorted it out for me. But it was ridiculous.
That is outrageous.
So anyway, I've got one more embarrassing story. Fred, over to you.
All right.
Over to you. So what's winning at the minute? Which story's winning at the minute?
Ooh, I think the Lord's balcony jumping into the sink with Alex Stewart batting is
Right.
probably still number one.
Are you going, Rob? Gone.
So I think
Although
I've got,
the pants one is mortifying.
I think I've
And
got
a
a-
new club as well.
What about this then? One more embarrassing off the field. So I've done a few on. So one of my first holidays with my girlfriend at the time, Sarah, who's now my wife, went to Portugal, hotel on the beach. Right, I was at Leicester City. I think we just won the cup against Tranmere. Right, it was that summer, so he was in the limelight, playing at Wembley. And where I went because of my hair, because I was quite recognisable.
Yeah.
People knew you, so people would stop you.
Freddie
for
doesn't
autographs.
even bother hammering you. He
No,
just
he's-
laughs.
No, laughs.
I'm having a good day out
No.
today.
So we're on the beach, and I had I don't know if it was an infection, but I must have eaten something bad the night before. So the hotel's on the beach. It was in Portugal, and a lot of the guests knew I was. I'm not being big-headed. It was true.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said to Sarah, "I've got to go," and the hotel was right there. So I thought, right, I've got time to make it. So I run through reception, press the button for the lift, wait for the lift to open. Anyway, it opened. I get in, and then 3 people get in with me. And I was getting the lift, I look at them, and they went, "Hi, Robbie, how are you?" I said, "Fine, thanks." I can feel it in my stomach. Anyway, out it all came.
No.
Down my leg.
Shorts on.
Shorts on, down my leg, everything. And the smell was horrendous. Horrendous. And they looked at me. Nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. Went into the room, had to clean everything, had to go to reception and say, "Excuse me, I've had an accident in the lift." It was...
You fronted it out?
I had to.
Oh,
I had
left
to.
it.
I had
Tell you
to.
what, Rob, good
I had
for you,
to.
mate.
I had to, and it was horrendous. And you just know when they got out, they were thinking, "Oh, that's Robbie," and he's just like done that. in the lift.
You can imagine if they had been different kinds of people, they'd have taken a photo
Horrendous.
of it,
Yeah,
they'd have tried to
horrendous.
humiliate you on
Yeah.
social
What's
media.
wrong with you, Matthew?
I was so embarrassed.
Oh, yeah, why did that pop into my
Right,
head?
is that the first thing you thought? I'm going to take a picture of Robbie's excrement.
So that's a journalist inside you, Matthew. That.
Yeah, exactly.
Always sniffing out a story.
Aw.
Bum bum.
So embarrassed. You imagine the embarrassment there.
Amazing.
Fred.
Amazing. Fred, do you
Oh,
want to
I've
give us
got
the,
one.
do you want to give us the climax of the embarrassing moment?
But climax is the perfect description. I'm not
Looking at the gallery,
got
Mike
their
is
hands on
now
their ears. This
praying to
This
the
might not
heavens.
get in. This might not get in.
We got to get the terminology right here.
Don't judge me. Don't judge me, please. I was young. I was 17 years old. I was playing a game for Lancashire second team at Old Trafford. I love the place. I've got
much?
oh mate, like you've never seen. Favourite place on earth. And I've got about 30 odd, and I've got out. And it was on the back of not doing particularly well. I was getting a lot of low scores. I wasn't doing. I wanted to be in the first team at 17. I'd played and I got dropped, and I wanted to get back in. So I've got out and I've come off, and I was absolutely livid with myself. Livid. I was so angry. So I've walked off. Rather than going in the dressing room, I've gone to the toilets. And I've just wanted some time to myself. That's all I wanted, just to calm down, just time to myself. So I've sat in the cubicle. There was 3 cubicles in the old dressing room, and I sat on the floor with my back to the door and my feet on the toilet. And I was contemplating life, and I was contemplating it, and I was like angry, and that wore off after a while. I just had a bit of time to myself.
What do you mean time to yourself?
Well, there's nobody around.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, just sitting in the toilet.
Yeah, because I was just having a chat with myself. But then once the anger had passed, other things started entering my mind.
Yeah, you're a young guy.
I am, yeah, and I've
Red-blooded.
virile, not seen much.
Yeah.
So I had my hand in my pocket and just started playing pocket billiards. Right? So I started playing pocket billiards, and you know, when you're young, things happen, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, you don't always plan it to.
No.
You know, it used to happen watching Home and Away when I was younger. You know, it's like these things happen, don't they?
Yeah.
So it starts happening. So I started just...
I'm playing snooker in your pocket.
Well, I didn't have my hand in my pocket now. It was down my box briefs. So I'm just having a bit of time to myself.
I'm going hot here thinking about it.
And then my best mate Paddy, who we lived together after this, and well, not after this, we were living together at the time. I could feel someone. Do you know you get a sense someone's here? And there was a gap under the door of about 6 inches, and I can just see Paddy's head popping underneath. And he just went, he's a scouse, he went, all right there, Freddie, lad. Oh, no, I was mortified. He's gone back in the dressing room. He's told everyone in the dressing room. They're all waiting for me. I've got in the dressing room. I'm a young lad. I was bright red. I didn't know what to do, where to put myself. Didn't speak, just wanted to be on my own. And the worst thing about it was, when I got married, I had 2 best men. My brother was one, and Paddy was the other one. So my brother gives this speech off, and it was a lovely speech, you know, funny. But then Paddy... Know your audience, Paddy. Just know your audience.
Oh, no.
He started telling these stories. I'm sat next to Clive, my father-in-law. He's worked for the government. He's like, he's a nice fella. We just finished our profiteroles. Paddy starts speaking, and he's there, and he's going, so like, ladies and gentlemen, like, so Freddie got out, like, and you know, some people, they get angry when they get out. Not our Freddie. He gets aroused. I'm thinking, Paddy, please don't, Paddy, don't tell this story. Just stop it now. And then he goes, you'll never guess what he was doing in the toilets, ladies and gentlemen. And he didn't sugarcoat it. He used the hard meaning of the word.
You didn't do that, did you?
Yeah, but then I'm sat next to my father-in-law saying, oh, it's a lovely day, isn't it? This, oh, we're having fun. And I can hear me nan talking to me Auntie Ennis. What did he say, Barbara? What did he say? It's like, oh, it was the worst. I just wanted the ground to eat me up. And I'll be honest with you, that's not even the tip of the iceberg on embarrassing stories. It does get worse, but maybe for another time.
Wow. Robbie, I think we've got to give it to Fred. That is embarrassing. Hey, on wedding
That is
speeches,
embarrassing.
I can't think what I was thinking, but do you remember the story I told right at the beginning about the opening line of that story about sex in the Olympic Village?
Yeah.
When I started my wedding speech, I was trying to think of something funny to say. I told that story about having got laid twice in the Olympic Village, and I looked around the room expecting people to go, "Ooh, good one, Matthew."
What did you say?
Silence. My mother-in-law was looking at me with daggers. My wife was, "Why on earth did you bring that up? What an idiot!"
This won't top any story, but it's quite a little funny story. I went to India with Rio.
Good one.
What?
No, good one.
You'll be very...
Sorry.
So I went to India, Rio. Obviously, massive cricket. They love their cricket. You know, don't know too much about football, so it was for a major company.
Yep.
So me and Rio went as ambassadors.
He's such a radio veteran now, isn't he?
So anyway, and there was going to be a question and answers. And basically, so Rio Ferdinand, people didn't know Leicester City. Manchester United is a global brand, so, a lot of people would have known Rio Ferdinand. So you imagine this. So they do this massive introduction, Fred, and coming up now, will you please welcome into the room Manchester United legend, Rio Ferdinand. And they started playing Glory, Glory, Man United, the song.
Yeah.
And all the people there all had Man United shirts on. He walks in and everybody stood on their feet. And then next was me. Mate, there was nothing. I don't think people knew who I was. They didn't know who Leicester City were.
They didn't even clap?
Nothing.
Oh, no.
Could you imagine that? And I sat next to Rio on the stage. And it was like, oh no, please, what am I doing here?
Right.
It was horrendous. But Rio, to be fair to him, brought me
He's
in
great, isn't he?
and he was brilliant with
Good
me.
guy, Rio. Great guy.
But you imagine that. He walks into it, the adulation,
Yeah.
everybody cheering, saying, glory, glory,
But
man.
you'd never got used to this over
And then
your
I
career
walked
as well.
I had one in India, a really quick one. We'd lost the Test series, and then we was flying home that night, and we're on the team bus. We've all had a few drinks, and it was an hour's trip to the airport. And I got a bit of a weak bladder. I needed a wee, and there was nowhere to go. So the lads, I used to sit at the back of the bus, same seat every time back left. So I'm sat back left, and I said, just do it out the window. I said, I can't do it out the window. I said, go on, the window slides open. So it was like, it's either that or it's in my pants. So I've slid the window open. I've stood at the window, just peeing out the window. And then a supporters bus went past. Promise you. The England supporters bus went past. And I'm stood there like that, just peeing out the window. And there's these old dears and old people going past, just horrified.
No.
And then we had to queue up with them at the airport, and they're going, disgraceful, disgraceful. It could have been worse.
Guys, thank you. Unbelievable stories. Incredible honesty. But if I had to put my money on one, I'd go for Freddie.
Me too.
And which story, though? I mean, both of them are pretty mortifying, but probably the one in the cubicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final topic this week is sporting mums. And I want to say, as a son of a mother who was the most supportive, loving, incredible mentor to me growing up. My dad had come from India to the UK, faced terrible racism at work. In order to get promoted, he did a degree in his part-time. He didn't have time to take us to training or to table tennis competitions. My mum filled in. She had my brother when she was 16, me when she was 18, my sister when she was 23. Very young mum, huge amount of responsibility. But she mentored us. She loved us when we won. She loved us when we lost. She gave great advice. She was a psychologist. She made our packed lunches. She went up and down the M4 and the M1. But I was very conscious that most of my rivals had fathers who were mentoring them. And I think back then, a lot of people thought that was quite a natural thing. And it was unusual for a mother to be mentoring two sports-mad boys. And it made me think, actually, later in life about Judy Murray and the experiences that she's had, having mentored and coached and helped Jamie and Andy and the hostility she faced. You know, she got poisoned pen letters at home. She would get hurled insults on the streets, and it really affected her confidence. And it took her a long time to try and convince the British public that you can be a mother, you can be strong, you can be a fantastic influence on your children, and it doesn't mean they're tied to the apron strings for one moment. And I just wanted to sort of put it out there and see what your two thoughts are on this, that I think there is still some residual sexism in sport. You know, you get it in sports journalism. If women ask questions at a football press conference, there can be a bit of an atmosphere. You know, Chris Gale propositioned a female journalist during an interview. I think there's still a bit of that, and I wanted to do a shout out to the women in sport, the mums, the journalists, and everybody else. They do an amazing job, and I think it's still very difficult.
Do you know when you was a kid and all the other kids had the dads there and you had your mum there? What did you think?
Well, for me, it was the only thing I'd ever experienced. And I had huge appreciation for her because we wouldn't have been able to pursue our dream without her being involved. And the sacrifices she made, she had virtually no life of her own. I mean, you guys know what it's like. They're a taxi driver. You know, they do everything for you. You're a vulnerable person. And without that support, without that person ploughing a road for you to walk down, it never happens. But it was odd. My dad just didn't have the time to come. He loved us very much. He was very committed. He financed our table tennis career, and it was expensive. But he just couldn't come along. And so we were with our mother the whole time. And it was, later in life, I could see that people looked down on her a bit. They looked down on us a bit because our father wasn't there. But, what was your experience? How was your dynamic with your...
Just on Judy Murray.
Yes.
Right, I know Judy Murray. She's been on the League of Her Own a couple of times. I get on well with her. She's lovely. But what do you think? Like, because she's been on Strictly.
Yeah.
She's put her head above the parapet.
Yes.
Where she's out there on the back of her son.
Yeah.
So where do you stand on that? I know you said there's no excuse for poison pen letters and nasty stuff on social media. Unfortunately, that is a fact of life.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, then you've got to take the rough with the smooth a little bit.
Yeah.
Whether you should or not. But where do you stand on that?
Yeah.
Is your mum going to do Strictly?
No, she's not.
Would she have liked to have?
No, she was a very self-effacing person. Funnily enough, Judy, early in the career of Jamie and Andy, she would be asked to do speeches and to go to coach conferences. Her confidence was so fragile because of the animosity that was coming her way, she would turn it down. The turning point, there were two, she said, Strictly, when people began to see who she really was, and also when...
I thought she was lovely.
Oh, she's fabulous.
Yeah, on Strictly.
Was you on
Were you
with
on
her?
at the same time?
No, but I watched it. She was brilliant.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest
She's
with
very
you.
human. You know,
Yeah, I like
the image of
it.
her was harsh, severe. She's a really
Well, I
wonderful
thought that because you see her on thing, don't you, in crowd, and you think if Andy don't win this game, he's getting no tea when he gets home tonight, and but that's what you thought.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
like hard, wasn't she?
But let's
and then
think-
she came on League of Their Own,
Yeah.
And I don't mind saying they go through the guests, and there's some I'm happier with than others.
Yeah.
I mean, Judy Murray, really.
Yeah.
And then she came on, she was brilliant.
Yeah.
She mucked in with all the games. She got involved. She was just charming,
And she's
and
funny,
I felt
isn't she?
bad
Yeah.
because the public opinion had
Yeah.
swayed what I thought about her, and she's absolutely lovely.
But don't
I had
you
her on
think
my radio show
Yeah.
when I did a 5 Live show. She was talking about sports games. To be fair, I wasn't that. The games were a bit rubbish, playing table tennis on table in the kitchen with a tin of beans. But she was absolutely, she was lovely, and I now follow her on Twitter. I see her around the traps every now and then, and I really like her.
And she's funny.
But it just shows how you can get
Wrong.
Well, let me
swayed,
say,
like you and John Terry.
well, here, check this out. I think the media should take some responsibility for that because every time she would be on the front page of a newspaper, it would be baring her teeth. And the implication was she's not feminine. I think you can be feminine and determined.
Look at Robbie.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just wind it. Have you got...
So my mum.
I enjoyed that.
Robbie, you
horrible.
take it
Yeah.
so well. It's unbelievable.
My mum. So my mum, Matthew, obviously, my mum couldn't drive. My father used to take me everywhere. We spoke about parents and sport. You're talking about mothers. So my mum obviously was at home, food. She'd be the one who looked after us as a family, because my dad went out to work and mum would be there all the time. She'd be the shoulder to cry on. She would be the one to put an arm around me. Do you know what I mean? The type of person that if I was naughty in the day, she'd wait till your father gets home, and then she would
get that.
Then she wouldn't tell him. I said, "Please, mum, don't tell
right.
Dad." She would then she wouldn't tell him, and I got on so well with my mother, but to the point, Matthew, where my football career, because of my own fault at times, and because of the press, and because I was this pantomime villain, she used to love going to watch me play football, and she would travel around the country with my father,
Right.
But it come to a point when it was after the 1999 Cup final, which she went to, and then because of all the negative press I got, and because of all the Afghan hound and people called me all kinds of names, from that moment on, seriously, I was called a rabid Afghan hound by a man in a newspaper.
But
This is a journalist, isn't it?
Yeah, you're laughing at that.
it's totally unfair, but that Afghan hound, it's kind of like the barman.
I did look like one, yeah. I did look like one. I'll be honest with you.
He didn't have rabies, though.
Yeah, rabid. Is that rabid the right word?
Yeah.
What does that mean, rabid?
Having rabies.
Oh, is that what it meant? That was cruel.
What happened to your addiction?
Well, anyway, so from that moment on, Matthew, my mother would go with my father in the car to watch to the game.
Yep.
For his support, because she didn't like him driving
Yeah.
X amount of miles around the country on his own. He worked very hard.
Yeah.
And the weekends was his time off, but he loved watching me play. So Mum would go and support him in the car, to the point where after that 1999 final, she would get out with my father. He would go into the pub for a pint. She would go in and sit there. Mum doesn't drink. And then when the game kicked off, she would walk around the stadium with a cigarette, and she would not go and
Because
watch.
she was too nervous to watch.
Nervous.
What
Oh.
did she not
No,
watch?
not watch me. She went to support my dad, but she wouldn't watch me because of the people being horrible,
Yeah.
all the negativity, everybody's singing nasty things about her son.
Yes.
So her support mechanism was from my father, but to watch me, she couldn't watch me.
And I can imagine that can't be any more difficult than to hear people abusing the person.
The son.
Yeah.
But then after the game, you would never know. She would say, "How did you play?" And I knew it would really, really hurt her.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little boy still. She still calls me the little one.
It's amazing
I'm
how much you
42.
draw on that love, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a young person.
Yeah, so...
It's an amazing thing. Freddie, sorry, did you want to say
So,
something?
but growing up, because my father managed my first football team, Mum, after the game, would get all the kit up.
Yeah.
She would take it home, wash it, put it on the old washing line in the back garden. There'd be 20 strips hanging up, all prepared, all done next week. She'd help me clean my boots in the cold. Dad'd be at work and my mum would help me do all that kind of stuff. Mums, we underestimate how great they are. They're amazing.
Well, it's like your dads take all the glory, don't they? Because it's that identifiable thing where cricket or my dad played on a weekend. I got into it because of my dad. But my mum was there all the time.
Yep.
My mum did the teas with my nan, who, bless her's not with us now, who I miss. And I think, look, I've never really thought about it and actually feeling a bit guilty now. Because, all right, your dad... The cricket, I'm sure that came from him and the passion and all that. But the emotional support came from my mum.
Yeah.
If I'd had a bad day when I was a kid or something,
Mum's always there.
Mum I go for a cuddle with.
Always there.
Unconditional love.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to get terrible nightmares, and it's my mum who lies with me on the bed till I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then she was at older matches. She travelled around everywhere with my dad. She couldn't drive like your mum Val. So she was in the car all the time. She slept in the car when my dad slept in the car. She went around the country. She washed me whites.
Yeah.
And some of the other stuff that they've been through, like you mentioned, you got abuse from the crowd. In cricket, that doesn't really happen. The stuff I got, I brought on myself a little bit. When someone's writing about you in a newspaper or you're getting hammered, you get so wrapped up in what it's doing to you, you almost lose sight a little bit of the knock-on effects of
That's a great point.
how it's affecting your family as well. Imagine a mother reading about the son who's done this, that and the other, or someone's sold a story on him, or a reporter's done a sting on him. Mm-hmm. It's like, it must be awful. So I think mums in general, they don't get, they don't get the credit. Because I'll be honest with you, I reckon my mum wanted a daughter. She had my brother, and she would have loved the daughter. I see what she's like.
Two sons?
Well, yeah. I'm a son.
Yeah,
my brother.
But you didn't have any other.
No.
My mum was the same. She wanted me to be.
She'd love to a daughter. Yeah, same with me. I'm sure because I see what she's like with my daughter Holly, and she's like the one that she always wanted.
Yeah,
because she's had boys and she's lived in a house where there's two lads who then became two blokes. My dad. Yeah. All it is all the time is sport.
How did she feel about it? Did she enjoy watching you play cricket?
She used to go and watch, yeah.
Did she?
She loved the hospitality. Yeah, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because it's like going back to Judy Murray a little bit, and mums in general, and my mum, is that everyone talks about families and giving opportunities and the time that your family invest in what you do.
Yeah.
And it is an investment in a lot of ways. Where you're my dad, my mum, my brother, to some degree. That why should they not get some of the nice stuff?
Quite.
And I think
why should they not come and watch the cricket and get a day in hospitality?
I think it's
why should Judy Murray not write a book? Why should she not go and have a dance on telly? Why not?
I think as well, also
right.
mums, we're talking about family, brothers or sisters.
Yes.
Like growing up,
yeah.
you imagine being a successful sportsman in a house, and for me, my god brother called Jonathan, the eldest brother, he's so happy for me. But you think
no jealousy at all.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So for my mum and dad to obviously they love their sons equally.
Yep.
But I just couldn't imagine what it'd be like for my brother.
Like a juggling act, isn't it?
Yeah, juggling act. So 1 minute you've got both successful in what we do, but you've got this guy with all the adulation and he's in the public eye, and he's in the newspapers when you're 15, 16. Look at this boys at Manchester United. Then you got your brother who's cycling to work. 10 miles.
Did he play football? No,
he's an engineer. Cycling to work, 10 miles there, 10 miles back, in the pouring rain. Yeah, the other son is getting all these headlines in the paper and he's going on this great journey. Yeah. So the juggling out for parents is unbelievable. So for mum to treat my brother exactly the same is a credit to parents and my brother as well. And I'm sure yours.
How does it work with you?
Same, my brother. My brother's what? He's 40. I should know, 42 or 43. And he went to school. He played cricket when he was young. To be fair to him,
That was good. He went to school, wasn't it?
yeah, he went
Nice
more
of
than
him.
me. But he, oh, it's payback time.
That was nice. We got to school, Fred. Well done.
Let him go. Mondays and Wednesdays. So he went. He was good cricket when he was younger. Really good cricket. And who knows? But whether he wasn't into it as much, or didn't have the opportunity, or didn't have the break, who knows? But he went to school, went to university. And I remember, like, I started earning money at 16, 17. He was a student. You know, driving his 1.1 Fiesta, working at a bookshop, working wherever he can to pay his way through student. And me, although I wasn't on fortunes, relatively speaking, to the rest of the group of friends I knocked around with, I was doing really well. Yeah. So it was hard, you know, you're going out with your brother and you know he's got no, and he's racking up a student loan, and I want to pay for everything. Yeah. And how does that make your brother feel? And then for the bulk of my career when I was half decent, he lived in Japan. Right. And then you think, well, was that because... You know, a lot of things put on your mind. Is that because he didn't want to... I don't know. He's so supportive.
Do you know what the nicest thing is now, though?
I think it is... I mean, I've got an older brother, 2 years older than me. He's a fantastic table tennis player, number one in England for his age group. He got injured in his late teens, couldn't play table tennis anymore. I think there was a little period where he wasn't quite reconciled to the fact that I was still playing and he couldn't. And it was a bit tense. Then he got over it. Yeah. He remembered that we were incredibly close, and we are now best friends. And towards the end of my career, he would come in coach and help, and it's just such an amazing support. And you're right about the parents. For them, getting the balance between Andy and me, and I actually do have a younger sister, when it was very dominated by sport, was very difficult, but they did it brilliantly.
Do you know what the nicest thing is now, though, for me, I'm sure, Freddie, and for you, Matthew, is the position that we found ourselves in through our careers, whether it's contacts, whether it's good friends, whether it's people you know, whether it's financial, you know, listen, whether it's you've earned a few quid in a position where you can give stuff back to to your brother and to your family, and that for me is the most pleasing thing. I'd rather give it all away. I'm taking my brother to the Europa League final.
Lovely.
On Wednesday.
Taking Clive as well, aren't you?
Getting Clive from the gym. Yeah, Stanley's. People don't know Stanley. We had 2 tickets spare, so I'm taking my brother, and then it was heads or tails, Clive or Stanley, and Clive won. Oh. So, but I like to treat my friend. I think that's that's so nice for us now to be in a position where, like my brother, giving things back to him. Do you know what I mean? And
but that's nice. But I think the biggest thing is they just want to be around you. Yeah, you know, because they don't see you as like this fellow who's doing a TV show or a footballer or a cricketer or a table tennis player or a journalist. They just see you as you. Brother. They know your faults. They know your insecurities. They know your failings, and they just want to be around that. Yeah, they don't want to be around some fellow who's trying to flog something or do something. They just want to.
So is that a criticism of me trying to sell black box things?
Isn't it?
I'm talking about me.
Talking about mums and dads and families. Isn't it weird? I don't know what you think about this, but when you're growing up, you go on holiday with your mum and dad, and then you get to a point where you're thinking, I'm not going with mum and dad now. But now, at our age, you're thinking, I can't wait to take mum and dad on holiday. My mum won't fly, she won't fly, so we can't take it. Obviously, my father's no longer here, but isn't it great that you get to a point in your life where we want to take mum and dad again on holiday?
That's a nice thing about touring a little bit. You know, mum and dad used to come out for Christmas and they went to South Africa and they've been to Australia. And as a family growing up, we didn't go abroad. You know, we went to Scotland.
Yeah, we were
in a static caravan.
We were Prestatyn.
You know, I mean, all of a sudden, I think that's why we talk about sport and we've got to be so thankful. Yeah. You know, for the thing that we've done and the thing that we do. Yeah. And the people who've got us there. And you're rightly saying, Matthew, mums don't get the credit they deserve. They take a little bit of a back seat, and dads get the high fives and the adulation when it's a...
Can I just thank you a lot? A really, really interesting discussion. Can I sort of move it on to the other thing that I mentioned, just to get your take on this, which is the level of sexism that still exists towards women in sport in this context. If you look at female sports journalists on Twitter, they get hammered, particularly the football ones. How can a woman dare to say anything about the game? Do they know what the offside rule is? And this dynamic of women being marginalised when it comes to understanding sport and some of the really horrible things they have to endure at press conferences and in the sort of digital space, I think that's a real problem.
Well, I'm with you, Matthew. You know, one of my best relationships was with Janine Self.
Yeah,
Janine wrote my book.
Did she?
Because her knowledge of football, her knowledge of me, she was the Midlands reporter.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't think of anybody better to write my book than Janine Self. So for me, brilliant, absolutely brilliant writer.
What gender didn't matter to you. You wanted the
Of course,
best writer.
the best writer. And Janine covered Midlands football, absolutely magnificent. And I had put my faith in her to write my book, and it done really well. So, it doesn't matter about the gender. As long as they do their job correctly, do it well, who cares?
And I think things are changing, aren't they? I think that it was much worse 10, 15 years
I was
ago.
sorry, Fred. So on a show in the afternoon, BT Sports Score, we had we've had Alex Scott, we've had Kelly Smith.
Yeah.
Kelly Smith, one of the best players in the women's game. She was magnificent. She's magnificent. Yeah. She's knowledgeable. She talks about football in a passionate way. Doesn't matter what gender. Yeah. And I think times are changing, and for the good.
Well, I think the only thing you can take in that is getting better. You're saying people get hammered. There's a woman on Twitter called Legside Lizzie who loves the cricket, and she gets hammered on Twitter. You've seen like BBC 5 and Test Match Special. You've got Alison Mitchell. Yeah. Who's out there? You got Ishiguro, who does Sky cricket now and things. So I think it is getting better.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's not my opinion, but just being realistic, it's something which isn't going to change overnight.
Yeah.
Because sport, let's be honest, the sport I played is a male-dominated world.
Yeah.
It has been. Yeah. And now, what we're seeing is, which is brilliant for cricket, is that the girls now, they've gone professional. They're getting paid. They've got their own T20 competition. Australia have got the Women's Big Bash, which is taking it even further.
Yeah.
So you've got these girls now playing sport, which rather than, you think of a girl and a role model's going to be a pop singer or an actress or something. Yeah. And a bloke is going to be a footballer, a cricketer, a rugby player. Where it's changing now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think girls have got sports people they look up to. They hear voices within sport talking about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's becoming more accessible.
And you look at the FA Cup final, Matthew.
Yeah,
the women's FA Cup final, 34,000 at Wembley.
Yeah,
magnificent, magnificent.
And you see five-a-side games. You see women playing. My daughter Evie, she's only 4, but her sports day is at the end of June. And I'm really looking forward to watching her do that. That it's something that she can grow into, have role models that she can admire and look up to. And this idea that you can be feminine, but you can run hard, you can train hard, you can be competitive. Jessica Ennis, what a fantastic role model she is.
But then I watch my boys play cricket, and obviously you do as well, Rob, when with my two. And you play against some teams, and there might be one girl in the opposing team. And out of all the players on the pitch, I've got more respect for that one girl. Can you imagine, like, being a lad and going and playing a woman's sport, or being the one bloke in a dressing room where you got the girl? You just think, you know what? I like cricket. I want to play cricket, and she's brave enough. And I think rather than harping on about women in sport and they get a bad deal, let's focus on the positives. Yeah. Let's focus on that girl who's playing in a boys' football team, right, for the Dragons. Lucy played for the Dragons. You've got a girl playing. Yeah. Let's focus on that. Let's push that rather than be negative about it.
Like it.
You are going to get cynicism, and you're going to get what happened with Keys and Gray when they were talking about the lineswoman.
Yeah.
So let's focus on the good bits of it. There are girls out there playing. There's great sporting role models for girls. Let's celebrate that, because that's the way in which women's sport is going to catch up.
In a funny kind of a way, I think that argument can be made about racism too. I think it's a positive story of how things are changing. We hang up on the negative so much, it undermines the momentum. Mental health,
everything.
Which is, some of the points you made there, I think that's really, really powerful. Guys, I think that was one of the best shows we've done.
Well, you say that every week, Matthew.
Do I? Yeah.
Oh, we're getting better. We've got 4 to go.
One last thing.
The only question is how much is going to get edited out? That's the question.
Well, Mike,
big job for Mike.
I'll say this. One of the things I did last week, I looked through every single review we've had on iTunes. And we've been talking about how there can be negativity on the social media.
You've not had any work this week? What have you been doing? A bit of a slow week on speeches.
It isn't for.
But my goodness, what hasn't it?
Most of them are Robbie, though.
Anyway, okay. Guys, thank you. And thank you for listening. You can download the podcast for extended versions of all the topics we've covered on this week's show at the 5 Live website and all the usual podcast places. Please use the hashtag FredSavSide to get in touch through the week. If you could leave a review on iTunes and give us a rating, that would be great. We really appreciate everyone who's done that already. We'll be back next week at the same time. But for now, from all of us, goodbye.
If you'd like to hear more... All right, lads.
He just like this. He gets nervous. This bit. This is the most nervous bit.
I'm an actor.
This is the nervous bit. Come on, come
I'm an
on.
actor.
Everybody watch Fred when he does this. He does like it. Go on, Fred.
If you'd like to hear us...
Oh! Keep that in. Keep it in. Keep it in. Keep it in. He does like this.
If you'd like to hear us talk more about John Terry's retirement, have a listen. But now we've moved on to this.
Doesn't like it again. It's on here.
If you'd like to hear us talk more about John Terry's retirement, what we're doing, just listening. Have a listen. Listen to it. It's good stuff, this. But now we've moved on.
Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy.
Thank you for downloading this Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy podcast. Make sure you subscribe to receive the latest episodes automatically to your device every single week. And if you like this, then why not have a look at what else 5 Live has to offer at bbc.co.uk/5live.